Ather 450X Generation 3, and from the looks of it, it doesn't look like much has changed. But Ather has told us there are a comprehensive list of updates underneath the skin. So we are here in Bangalore today to test ride this new Ather scooter and find out if it works or not. Hi, my name is Dhruv Paliwal, you're watching autoX, and today we're talking about the Ather 450X 3rd generation. Okay, as we've already addressed the elephant in the room that this doesn't look very different from the older model, let me just tell you what all has changed. I'll just move this helmet out of the way so that you can better see the scooter. Now, in terms of design, not a lot has changed. These mirrors, they're new, and pretty much everything else on the scooter, it's the same. There are no visual distinctions, there are not even any new colors. And Ather told us this. It's right now focusing on making the 450X as good as it can be. So it didn't want to bring in visual elements, visual changes, because it's not a full gen change, but it's an evolution from where the Ather 450 began and where it is today. So they've very consciously taken this decision not to make any visual changes to it apart from the mirrors. I'm not a big fan of that decision. What about you? What do you think about Ather not changing the design but changing the internals, changing the mechanicals so that you have a better riding experience? Tell us about that in the comments below. We are eagerly looking forward to hearing what you have to say about the Ather's looks. Now let's move on. They've also given a few new accessories. Now actually these accessories, they are not kitted out on this specific scooter, but we have seen them. So you get a frunk over here. It's a cloth bag, not a cloth bag, it's a leather bag, and ideally it just has space for you to keep your phone in there, keep your bottle in there, and you can even open the zippers on the side, probably fit in a few groceries. That is it. But Ather has designed it very beautifully that it only comes up till this area, so your foot space, that doesn't get taken over. Another thing that is there is a side stand. So now obviously you have the rear, the pillion rider keeps the legs here, but if you're sitting sideways, you need a side stand. And Ather has designed a beautiful side stand. Again, it's not there on this unit, but you'll see overlay shots of that, and you'll see that the side stand has been designed beautifully. It integrates very well into the design, and once you close it, it's pretty much out of sight. Apart from that, you also get another bag. It sticks to the rear pillion seat. Now, Ather has not told us a lot about it, but from the images we saw, and we've not even seen it on any of the scooters that are around here for test, what Ather has told us is that it basically just sticks up here. It takes the space of your pillion seat, so you can no longer seat a pillion, but you do get added storage. And obviously there is that humongous 22 liters of boot space underneath that seat, which we already know and love about the Ather. Now I've told you about the visual changes. Let me tell you about what's changed mechanically here. So you see these tires, they are all new. Ather has developed them in conjunction with MRF, and what they're saying is these are 22% more grippier than before. 22%, not 20, not 30, 22. And honestly, I can vouch for the fact that these are very grippy tires. Now, those of you familiar with the area will know that we are around Nandi Hills in Bangalore, and Nandi Hills has a few fast flowing corners, and on those corners these tires were pretty much as good as they could be. I never once faced a moment where I felt that I was running out of grip from the tires or anything like that. And in fact, if you try and lock the rear wheel, there's so much of grip in this compound that it's not very easy. I mean, you have to put in a lot of force to make the tire lose traction. That tells me, and there's no screeching sound that comes from hard compound tires. It's a very soft sound. It tells me that they've used soft rubber here, and it's good rubber. Now, obviously the tire size has also gone up, the tire contact patch has also gone up. Also, the suspension in the front, it's been reworked to accommodate all these changes. Now, what Ather says is it's, I think, stiffened it up a little bit, but what has been done in order to make sure that the Ather continues to ride like before. So the changes don't make it better. It still rides the same, but it's because these changes have been made because to accommodate the other mechanical changes, and that's why it continues to ride the same. Now the biggest thing here which a lot of you wanted, a lot of us wanted, is more range. And Ather's given us that. It's given us a new battery pack. It's a 3.7 kilowatt hour battery pack, if I'm not mistaken. I think the battery pack capacity has gone up by 0.4 kilowatt hours. And what that means is that in smart eco mode, which is Ather's own form of eco mode and actually works well, you can get 105 kilometers of true range. Now that's still not as much as the competition. I'll give them that. But what Ather is saying here is that they have compared the riding data of a lot of people, of a lot of Ather users. They have data for 218 million plus kilometers from all the Ather riders out there. And what they have seen is that they've taken riding data from major metropolitan cities like Pune, Bombay, Delhi, Chennai, and all of these cities. And what they have seen is that the average riding distance of most consumers is not more than 30 kilometers a day. So they're saying a lot of the consumers, they don't need that added range. It's just an emotional requirement. It's just that range fear that we have, which is why a lot of people want that more range. Because you get that Ather dot charger at home, you can have it installed, you can pretty much top up the battery every day. So what Ather said is that obviously we understand that the customer, they want more range, so we've given them slightly more range, but not so much that it increases the cost of the vehicle, it increases the weight of the vehicle, it changes the dynamics of the vehicle. They didn't want to tinker around with all of that. They wanted to give us the same sweet experience that the Ather has been delivering all this while, and that is why the increase in range, while it is there, it's not substantial, and it's because of this reason. Now, you're the judge and jury out there. We'll leave it up to you. Let us know in the comments below if you think that's a wise move or not, or could you have done with more range? Could you have done with less range? What are your thoughts on range anxiety with electric vehicles in today's day and age? Let us know in the comments below. As far as the electric motor goes, it's the same motor. Nothing has been changed. The control units for the motor, they continue to be the same. And that is pretty much it. Now, these are the changes on the Ather. Okay. Now, I've told you about what all has changed in the Ather. Let's talk about how it now rides. And I've already told you about the tires. Let me tell you about the brakes. The brakes are phenomenal. I think there's a lot of feedback coming in from these brakes. They're very progressive to apply. And the tuning, it's overall been done. It's fantastic. I actually I took the Ather up this rocky incline, and basically there was no way to come back. I couldn't turn around because I would have tipped over and fallen. So the only way to come back down that incline was by feathering my brake and making sure that I don't catch too much momentum going back, otherwise I would have fallen. And if you had seen that incline, it was almost 40-degree, 45-degree incline, and coming back down, ideally on many motorcycles, on many scooters or any two-wheeler would have been scary. On this, it was not. I just very accurately kept releasing my brake pressure little by little, and I had that much confidence in the Ather that it allowed me to use the brakes to the fullest, and that's something I really appreciate. Now, next thing I want to talk about is this seat here. I'm honestly not a big fan of this stepped up seat because it just doesn't work for me. I like a more flatter bench, but that's a personal perspective. What I do like is the cushioning on the seat. It is just phenomenal. You sit on this and you feel like you're sitting on a cloud. I don't mean to say it's very soft or very stiff or anything. It's just at this right point where I don't want to call it soft, I don't want to call it stiff. It's apt. It works. And I can ride the Ather all day long. Obviously, I'll run out of battery before I start feeling tired. But this seat, it just continues to work. Then what I like about here, I'll show you the shots later, but it's my range and everything. Now, Ather software and everything has also been updated. Things have over the time, as they have gathered more and more data from the consumers who are riding the Ather out there, they have been able to give you a better and better idea of what your range is going to be. And that's something I see in the Ather. Even if I flip through the modes, my range falls very consistently. There are no gaps, there are no peaks, or there are no dips in my range. So It's kind of a good way to combat range anxiety because I'm getting an accurate representation of what my range is. On a lot of electric bikes, electric scooters, what happens is if you start riding in a very eco fashion, suddenly the algorithm thinks, okay, I'm going to give you a lot of range, and then you gas it, and then suddenly your range drops, so you are the one who's left doing the math. I'd rather the Ather do it for me, and it does it really well. Obviously, there's an app connect also which allows you to connect to the Ather. It lets you have your information on the screen here. It's a big screen, you can see it in sunlight and everything. It just works. And this is the riding experience. As far as power delivery goes, now I have not ridden the older Ather too much to remember exactly how it was, but I think here is just a very smooth experience. And there's no surge in the beginning, but it's obviously a much more brisk start than an internal combustion engine. But once you get moving, I think the Ather feels a lot like a petrol scooter, of how like a nice, decently powerful petrol scooter would feel like. And that is something I really like. That's, I think, the highlight of this ride experience for me, that the Ather, it's starting to feel more and more like petrol internal combustion engine scooters. And I think that's a good thing because they are bridging the gap. What do you think of that? Obviously, you know where to tell me down below. So that's our experience today of riding the Ather. We had it for a short while, so obviously we can't tell you about anything. Its handling, its dynamics, they stay the same. Very planted through a corner at high speeds. The scooter is very stable, and you overall have a very nice experience riding it. Alright, so we already addressed one elephant in the room, and that was the looks of the Ather. Let me address another one, and that's the price. And that's the thing, we don't know the price. Well, actually, you're watching this video today, that's the 19th of July. You know the price because the prices have just come out. You'll probably find them down here below in the video or in the comment section. We'll leave a pinned comment as soon as we know what the prices are. But we are shooting this on the 12th of July. And everything we are shooting here is under embargo. And we came to this event thinking that Ather is going to be revealing the price as well, but that's not happened. The price reveal is happening on the 19th. So right now, after having ridden it, I have my opinions, but I don't know the price. So I can't put those opinions in a bracket. Okay, you know what? I'm getting this for this price, and this seems like a good value proposition or a not so good value proposition to me. That's the problem here. So I'll give you my 2 cents on it. Currently, that's the second generation Ather 450X, not this one. That retails in Delhi for 1.38 lakh ex-showroom. If Ather prices this one at the same price, it wouldn't be a win-win, but I would not be disappointed. I would be okay, yeah, you know what, they've not increased the price because substantially there has not been a feature bump up. And that's what we want to pay money for. That's what a lot of people want to pay money for. That is to see more and more upgrades come to the scooter. But Ather brings in updates in the form of over-the-air updates. So what they say is that if you bought an Ather 2 years ago, your scooter is better today. And that's because it's been receiving over-the-air updates over all these times, and it keeps becoming better and better. So in that sense, the Ather ages like fine wine. And that's, while it's a good feeling to know, it's ultimately, we just love something new on a scooter. And for that sense and purpose, I would say, I would love it if the price stayed the same. What I would love even more would be if the price drops. Now that's a big if, but let me tell you why I feel that might happen. And that's because one of the founders in the presentation told us that the prices of batteries are now coming down as economies of scale go up. But the battery pack in this one is larger, so obviously they have to put in more cells. It's a fine balance, but if somehow Ather can manage and tilt it in favor of reducing the cost of the 450X, then maybe, just maybe, it will become a force to be reckoned with for the kind of price they will be offering it at. Older customers could feel a bit shortchanged if Ather decides to do that. But that's the thing. Older customers, they were all early adopters of EV technology. Going into the decision, everyone knew things could go in any direction. And if Ather was to hold on to that price tag just not to miff the old customers, while it would be a good sentiment, it would miff new customers. So that's the thing. The pricing is going to be Very, very crucial for the scooter. And you know what? Wait out. Once the prices are out, we're going to do another video, not with the scooter on, but at least to tell you what we think about the scooter, so that you know that if it's a good value for money proposition or not. These were my 2 cents on the Ather 450X. That was all for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and obviously if you liked it, do share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel for more such amazing content. Thank you so much for watching.